Hello and welcome to the first football review show on the Clutch. My name is Smiso Msomi. I'm a senior journalist at Independent Media, and I just can't wait to dissect everything that went down in the MTN8 in the past weekend, from the drama to the complete performances, to the late moments, to the rising of stars. I think there's a lot to unpack, so let's just get into it. Of course, the final of the 2025 MTN8 has been set, and who would have guessed it is a repeat of last season's final as well. And when that sort of thing happens, a lot of memories start flooding in for me. Personally, I had an opportunity to be there last year to see a spectacular final between Stellenbosch and Orlando Pirates, the two finalists this year as well. And we were treated to football, we were treated to drama, of course, controversial moments as well. But when I say it was the complete package of a South African football match, trust me, it was a complete package. I don't know whether it was a good advert for the South African game, but for the neutral, it was probably the perfect game. Probably an even better game if you're an Orlando Pirates fan, considering that you won the cup. And that perhaps adds a little bit of more spice heading into the next final as well. Of course, Orlando Pirates beat Polokwane City in the quarterfinals, mm, edged Mamelodi Sundowns in the semifinals over the last weekend as well, and then now find themselves having to slay Stellenbosch again to complete a historic four MTN8 champion, four times consecutive MTN8 champion. Yeah, English got lost there a little. But yeah, Pirates are looking to extend that historic mark because if you remember last year as well, they were the first team to win the MTN three times in a row. So yeah, another record beckons for the Buccaneers possibly. And then for Staleys, of course, Staleys have been a massive cup team during their rise from um, the lower divisions back in 2017, 2018. So they've grown into a particularly strong side now and are very determined when it comes to cup games and cup competitions, more especially as they work their way into becoming maybe a possible league contender in the future. I think they've made about 7 semi-finals in the last 5 years. Well, you could correct me, but yeah, so they are a very huge threat for Orlando Pirates, and I'm sure Orlando Pirates know that as well. Coach Stevie Parker, of course, has already won the club's first ever cup in the Carling Black Label Cup last season, and will probably be looking to try and add a second medal around his neck alongside a pretty nice 10 million 10 million prize from the MTN8 Cup. So yeah, the last weekend. Yo, let's start with the big one. Mamelodi Sundowns, Orlando Pirates, having played a 1-1 draw at Orlando a week ago. They had to face off again at Lucas Moripe Stadium. Sold out affair as you would expect. And again, it did not disappoint. The football was there. The entertainment was there. A lot of players picked up their hands in that moment as well for both clubs. Of course, again, Pirates finished the game as the happier of the two teams, but emerging from even before the game started, the fact that there's even a concept in South Africa and it's been around for years, decades even, but the fact that it's formed part of what South African football culture is now, in the sense that in the sense that there's actually chemical engineering now in South Africa. So even that alone is something that we would probably need to discuss around this game as we bless me, as we delve deeper into what happened over the weekend. Yeah, so the spectacle that was the weekend's game. Of course, Ikram Reynolds got Sundowns off to a very good start. Probably the best start possible for the current South African champions, gave them that lead in the 17th minute, immediately putting Orlando Pirates on the back foot. Of course, you remember that ahead of that game, Pirates needed to score to have any chance of advancing to the final, having conceded an away goal back in Orlando. So for Sundowns to get that lead, I'm sure it was a huge boost for them confidence-wise. Probably made them to start believe that possibly, well, not even start believe, because at that point they were the favorites to actually advance, even though the goal came very very early in the game. But I don't think it's anyone's surprise now. Popped up Orlando Pirates, seemingly a man that's trying to become the guy for the club now. Kamohelo Sibelewele again coming up with the equalizer in the same way that he did back in Orlando to put Pirates back into the game. He pops up in the 73rd minute to find something and salvage something for the Buccaneers. Takes the game into extra time. Of course, as you would expect, the more the game drew on, I think even Sundowns fans and the Sundowns camp probably would have known that the more the game drew on, the more the game would probably favor Orlando Pirates, who have been almost merciless when it comes to cup competitions and Mamelodi Sundowns. I think the Buccaneers have lost just one cup game in the last 12 against Sundowns, and as soon as penalties started being a reality or something that was fast approaching, Pirates were probably more confident heading into that. And as their coach said after the game as well, they actually prepared for it. So for for them to be able to put themselves in a position where they would need to execute penalty wise, I think was good work from the Buccaneers. But Sundowns, I'm sure, because I remember, I think it was 2 seasons ago as well, where Sundowns beat Pirates in the final of the MTN8 via penalties in Durban as well. I remember Tewa Khomkwena missing a penalty that day as well. So yeah, so that that entire final, I don't think anyone expected anything to be straightforward. It was always going to be hard to call, judging from how those two teams have actually played against each other in the past 2 seasons. So I think everything that happened we probably expected, but we just didn't know how it would happen. Yeah, so huge shout out to Orlando Pirates. Huge shout outs to Mamelodi Sundowns again for being a worthy opponent. Yeah, but the Buccaneers are back in there for the fourth time in a row, and will face up against Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch did, yeah. If you want to know what a clean job is, that's exactly what Stellenbosch did in the semi-final tie against Sekhukhune. I don't think it gets even more simpler. Playing a two-legged semi-final match, playing at home, you get the 2 goal advantage. You go away, you finish the job, you score first, and just put the tie beyond the opposition. I think, yeah, Stellenbosch were very ruthless in how they conducted their business when it comes to the semi-final. I was particularly impressed with their new midfield man, Umtiani. I think he scored the goal in the second leg over the past weekend as well. KZN boy, of course, I think was Mpangeni. So very, very, very good player. I think he's one that will probably move in the same direction and in the same trajectory as all the good Stellenbosch players that we've seen, like Jaden Adams, your Ikram Reyners, your Ashley Dupree, San Nduli as well, plays for Pirates. So I don't think he'll be there for long, but I think for as long as he's there, Coach Stevie Parker will certainly know how to use him, because he's using him well right now. So that'll be one to watch in the future as well. The standout players for me, of course, in both ties. Yes, I've mentioned Umtiani, but also I think Devon Titus was very big for Stellenbosch over the two ties as well. Stayed dangerous as ever. Scored in the first leg as well. Um, and then in the Orlando Pirates, Mamelodi Sundowns tie, I think Relebohile has to stand out. Got the player of the match over the past weekend as well. So I think he has to stand out in a period where Pirates are seemingly trying to find their ground in terms of that attack and how they're gonna set it up with or without Tito Maswangani. Where will really play? How will um, Apollo's feature in that entire setup? Who will lead the line? So there's quite a few factors to consider when it comes to that, and yeah, I think for Sibelibe to settle in, and not only just settle in, but be able to play various positions for Pirates, I think is huge in this moment, and more especially in a moment where their coach is seemingly trying to find his ground as well, trying to assemble the perfect side, having taken over from Coach Jose Rivero. So I think Sibelibe has been a huge boost defensively because we saw him play right back during the week as well when they played that league game. So I think he's going to be a very, very huge component for Coach Abdeslam Wadu moving forward. And I think he'd be more than pleased with how he settled in at Orlando. But also, I think also on that, whilst we're speaking about Mamelodi Sundowns, in fact, I think it's worth the subject to discuss what's actually going on at Mamelodi Sundowns. Uh, of course, if you're if you're a person of passion, if you like to exaggerate, you'd say there's chaos going on at Mamelodi Sundowns. But is there actual chaos, and how are they going to get out of the seemingly rut that they're in? Of course, Mamelodi Sundowns have not won a cup competition since 2022. I think that's the year that they won the treble, which was the Betway Premiership, of course, which they've won 8 times. It was the MTN8 and it was the Nedbank Cup. So, but since 2022, they haven't been able to win a domestic cup competition. That's 3 years. So it is somewhat of a surprise for a club of Sundowns stature, but also of a team of that quality. So, what is actually going on? Why can't they win domestic cup competitions? And are they in chaos right now? I don't think they're in chaos. I think, yes, of course, you could point out to the things that are happening around their starman, Lucas Ribeiro, well, probably former starman since he decided to try and terminate his contract at the club. Also, the ongoing contractual dispute of Sundowns and Kulisa Mudau, who is also considering his options at the moment, and the club have been receiving offers from not just North Africa but from Asia as well. So, and there had been that situation for Peter Shalulile as well, who was seemingly out of the door, but we have seen him feature in the last few games. So you can only assume that perhaps his contract disputes and his possible exit has probably been sealed by the club now. I remember I spoke to Lehlono Majoro on Friday, and just like asked him for his opinion of what's happening at Sundowns. And I was surprised to hear that he shared the same sentiment as me in the sense that everything that's happening at Mamelodi Sundowns, it just so happens that it's out in public now, so it's up for public discussion. But those are just normal things that happen at football clubs. Contract discussions, possible exits are always in discussions in club boardrooms. So that is something not different. It does not indicate crisis. It just indicates discussions, or possibly suggest that discussions need to take place at some point. So yeah, and then on the footballing side, I think Coach Miguel Cardozo spoke heavily on the fact that his side are still trying to catch up to the rest of the league in terms of fitness, in terms of preseason. Of course, you remember Mamelodi Sundowns played the FIFA Club World Cup as well, so I had a shorter period to rest, but had to be back for work again. So they're still trying to balance themselves out, and are still trying to get to their best physically. I don't think you could put their poor runs in domestic competitions, or rather their inability to win, because I don't think it's been poor runs, but I think it's just their inability to have that final push, or that final uh, that final touch to be able to seal cup competitions. But you all know Pirates have been all conquering in the past 3 years as well under Jose Rivero. I think they won 5 cup competitions, so they've had a lot to deal with as well. So, but I don't think you could put Mamelodi Sundowns' failure to just one thing. There's a lot of factors. There's been different coaches in those time periods as well. So it would be very hard to trim it down to just the coaches not having what it takes. There's a lot of things to discuss around that, and yeah, I personally think it's only a matter of time before Sundowns start winning cups again, rather domestic cups, because they do dominate the league. They still do. For me, they still have the best squad in the league, and it would probably take years to displace them as that, if it even gets to that point, because they're constantly improving, they're constantly evolving. But now, of course, there's always huge pressure at Sundowns. The demand is always high. You can't help but think that if you remember Coach Mangoba as well, I think he couldn't win the MTN8, and then yeah, he saw the door. Coach Rulani Mkwena again lost back-to-back finals, and then he was let go. I think after he lost the Nedbank Cup at the end of the season, despite winning the league by just losing one game, but then he couldn't win the Champions League as well. So yeah, they just said sorry, but you can't, and then they let him go as well. So you can't help but think, how long does Coach Miguel Cardozo have? Does management understand what he's going through at the moment, and will they be patient with him? So that's something that we're going to find out in the next, in the upcoming months or even weeks, depending on that decision. So, but yeah, it's been a great episode. Of course, the MTN8 always provides the drama. Pirates Sundowns always provides entertainment anyway. Then it was the first time in a very long time that I saw eggs at a football field, but that's a discussion for a different day. Yeah, keep nice.